Hello, and welcome to the Green Transition Show. I'm your host, Dr. Francis Tuokuu. On this channel, we unpack the real issues shaping climate policy, sustainability, and the global energy transition. Not just the headlines, but the deeper economic and social consequences behind them. Today, I want to discuss a question that is becoming increasingly important, but that is still not receiving the needed attention. The question is the green transition creating a new resource curse? Around the world, governments and corporations are racing to decarbonize their economics. Electric vehicles are expanding rapidly. Renewable energy is growing, and countries are setting net zero emission targets. This is positive. The world needs to reduce emissions to address climate change. But it's something we often forget. Clean energy technologies do not come from thin air. They are built from materials, very specific materials. To manufacture electric vehicles, for instance, solar panels, batteries, and wind turbines, the world now urgently needs large quantities of lithium, cobalt, nickel, copper, and rare earth minerals. These are called critical minerals because modern clean energy systems depend on them. And here is where the story becomes complicated. Many of these minerals are not located in Europe or North America. They are concentrated in developing countries, particularly in Africa and Latin America. The Democratic Republic of Congo, for example, supplies most of the world's cobalt. Lithium is heavily concentrated in Chile and Argentina, as well as in Bolivia. Large copper reserves are found in Zambia and Peru, nickel in Indonesia, and graphite in Mozambique. In other words, the energy transition depends largely or heavily on countries that have historically depended on the extractive industries. This brings us to the idea of resource curse. The resource curse describes a paradox that countries rich in natural resources often struggle with development outcomes. Instead of broad prosperity, resource wealth sometimes leads to weak institutions, corruption, environmental damage, economic dependency, and sometimes social conflict and unrest. We have seen this pattern with oil, gas, gold, and diamonds. Now, the real question is, are we about to repeat the same history, but this time under the ban of clean energy? As global demand for critical minerals accelerates, mining expansion is also accelerating. Governments are under pressure to approve projects quickly. Investors are also competing for supply chains. Strategic interests are rising. Major powers now see minerals not only as an economic issue, but also as a geopolitical and security issue. But speed can create risks. Without strong governance, transparent contracts, environmental safeguards, and community participation, the clean energy revolution could unintentionally reproduce the same problems associated with fossil fuel extraction: inequality, land conflicts, displacement of communities, environmental degradation, and land dispossession. In other words, the world may decarbonize, but some communities may still bear the social and environmental cost. However, and this is very important, the outcome is not inevitable. The green transition also creates an opportunity. For the first time in decades, resource-rich countries are strategically important to the global economy. That leverage can be used differently. Countries can renegotiate better agreements. They can promote local processing instead of exporting raw materials. They can strengthen environmental regulation, and they can also ensure that communities benefit from their mineral wealth or resource wealth. They can link mining revenues to education, infrastructure, and economic diversification. So the real issue is not geology. The real issue is governance. Whether critical minerals become a blessing or a curse will depend on institutions, transparency, accountability, and how governments, corporations, and communities manage the transition. Viewers, if you are interested in thoughtful conversations about climate policy, sustainability, energy transition, and responsible mining, please subscribe to the Green Transition Show and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow and allows us to continue bringing you these insightful discussions. Thank you for watching.